Howdy folks, it's time for another tech tip. Strap the fuck in. So in a recent video that I put on YouTube, somebody asked the question, how do you get such a good zoomed out video in the 16:9? Anything I record is a single eye that needs to be cropped, and only way to get that ratio requires cutting out so much. Neat vid, ha, and thanks. Alright, thanks Mystic Ace. As you can see here, I'm playing DCS. I'm wearing VR goggles. It's not as one step as you think. Alright, so the program that I use to capture my desktop screen is called Streamlabs OBS, and you're looking at it right here. You'll see that there are lots of scenes here. It's using a theme called Facebook Gaming Pure Hexagons. I completely gutted it. It still keeps the name. Anyways, you don't have to worry about that. It's going to go to my computer's desktop. I have one called Live Scene DCS VR, and you'll see that it looks pretty distorted, but if you open up DCS, it'll look normal. First things first, let me just show you what the capture card is. You'll see right here, 4K 60 capture. If I double click on that, you'll see that it's set to a HDMI in source, which is called the 4K 60 Pro MK2. I'm using two PCs to capture all this stuff, and if you go to transform and edit transform, you'll see that the video is, let's just fix this, 2600 by 2450. Okay, so that's the ratio that I use. It's almost like a 4:3 screen in a way. It is basically, it's shrinking the horizontal pixels inwards instead of stretching them out, and then it has enough crop room at the top and the bottom of the screen to basically allow for the horizontal croppage to not distort as much as it would if you were to just stretch it out to the end and call it a day. You can basically drag the screen up and down. I try to keep it in the halfway mark. That way you're not staring at your feet, you're not staring at the ceiling when you're flying in DCS, and you'll see what I'm talking about real quick. Alright, so let me undo it. Yeah, it's actually a little bit more bottom. I like people looking at the cockpit instead of the windscreen more often. Alright, so let's just fire up DCS. Okay, so this is DCS. If you click on the gear icon on the top, you're gonna see a section called VR. Okay, under VR, you gotta make sure that enable virtual reality headset is clicked, and then you have to, at the bottom, to get the view that I have, is use DCS system resolution. Okay, and then mirror eye source left eye or right eye. I mean, whatever side. If you're flying a Huey and you're in the pilot seat, you want to be on the right. If you're flying anything else, I like having it on the left hand side. It's just me, because you know, you get the throttle in there, you can see both hands. It's pretty cool. If you put both, you're gonna get a split image for left and right, what your left eye and your right eye is. If you put it on left, you're just gonna see what your left eye is staring at. So I guess if you're flying the Apache, you want to have the right eye, because that's what the little heads-up display is. Anything with the HMD that's right projected, you want to have it on the right eye. All right, but I have it on the left eye because I fly the Harrier. Okay, so I have it left eye. All right, so just make sure that you have that set. Okay, anything else is pretty much standard here in DCS. I unchecked the use hand controllers. You can have that on if you want. I don't use my hands. My Oculus controllers when I fly in DCS. I have a Wing throttle and HOTAS, and it's all fun. I got some Thrustmaster MFDs. I got this Razor Tartarus V2, whatever the fuck they're calling it, and that way when I use VR, it's just basically muscle memory flying the aircraft. Let's fire it up in VR. Okay, so you'll see that I'm in DCS in VR. I can look around, you know, everything looks normal here. I can do a little zoom in here, right? That's about all you get in VR. Basically, your one-to-one tracking. It looks a little distorted right now in your perspective, at least, not for me. But you just take a look after I go from this if you take a look at this scene, all right, I'm gonna switch it to the scene that I created earlier called the live scene DCS with the distorted camera, and boom, I clicked it. Okay, you'll see it looks way more normal than the distorted view that you just saw. Man, I could live in the simulator. It's so beautiful. Okay, one last thing. In this game, in order to get this view in the resolution that it's at, you need to make sure that you're in full screen. Okay, make sure that that's checked before you start your mission, or you hit Alt and Enter as your mission loads, so you can enter full screen mode. Let's see what else. Another honorable mention is using Oculus Mirror to help you record. Okay, I have a shortcut for it. If you haven't launched Oculus Mirror, it's not going to look like this. You can put this on another monitor, like the one to your left or onto your right, where you can set up a virtual monitor and have it that way. And basically, you can have it full screen. All right, so there we are. So now we're using Oculus Mirror. And the reason why I don't use this is if you look left and right real fast, you'll see a bunch of black bars show up. You always fix that in the menu by trying to smooth it out, but then it just crops and crops and crops your image, and now you're staring at something like this basically while you're playing. If you're not, then DCS might not think that Oculus Mirror is a priority, and it will limit your frame rate when you're not paying attention. Basically, you got this thing on, you're looking at the game, it's going, you know, at 90 frames per second, or in this case 72 frames per second, because that's as fast as it will refresh. And it looks beautiful to you, but to anybody watching your stream, it's going to look like a slideshow whenever the processing becomes too much for DCS to handle. So the way that you avoid that is you just do it within the game preview instead. As beautiful as this looks, it's just not reliable, at least with a 3080 Ti. It was nice with the 2080 RTX, but for some reason the newer cards aren't doing so hot with that mode. So just make sure that you set up your distortions right, or else you're gonna have viewers just staring at, like, I mean, look at this looks pretty ugly, right? As soon as I click this, it looks normal, right? And it's not cropped so bad to where you can't really pay attention. You can look down, you click on stuff, you can still read things on the screen. It's probably better than the person in VR reading. That's why you always see me like put my head up to things, or you'll see me zoom into things, just because VR technology isn't really where it should be yet. It's so badass. Aside from that, if you have any questions about what I did in these steps, just feel free to comment in the comment section. I check them every day, every other day. Depends how active I am on YouTube. Other than that, I think that you should just experiment for yourself, and maybe leave your tips in the comments as well for people finding out these videos. I've had people check out videos that I posted 2 years ago, and we're still using those as forums on how to better your equipment, how to get better VR compatibility with your computer, how to basically get it to work in 2 years in the future from when the video is posted, because everything changes all the time, and nothing is static anymore, especially with these giant corporations always merging with each other, just messing with everything that was right in the past, or maybe even righting the wrongs, and just completely gutting what they did in the past. So feel free to comment. These videos are living forums, and just be nice to people asking questions that you might have asked a year ago if you see this video a year from now. All right, take care, happy hunting. I'll see you in DCS. Thanks. Bye. You don't have to leave a like, you don't have to comment. I just hope this helps you out. Okay, all right, thanks guys, take care.